Evelyn Winston gazed down at the twilight city from her office in a Manhattan high-rise. She unconsciously checked her reflection in the window glass, a perfectly tailored black pantsuit, neatly arranged chestnut hair, and eyes that couldn't hide their fatigue. The presentation materials are perfect. The client was absolutely thrilled, Jessica said with a smile as Evelyn turned around to face her colleague. Evelyn smiled back, but her expression seemed somewhat vacant. Thank you. But I'll be leaving now. I have to attend my sister's baby shower. After leaving the office and settling into her luxury car, Evelyn heaved a deep sigh. Her professional success meant nothing to her family, especially to her parents, Walter and Helen. In the eyes of these retired wealthy business people, the fact that their daughter was unmarried and childless, regardless of her accomplishments, was seen as a failure. Madison made the wiser choice, her father would often say. Her sister Madison had married Jake Harrison, a banker, immediately after graduating from college and became a full-time homemaker. Now she was pregnant with her first child. She had followed the ideal daughter path in the Winston family to perfection. As Evelyn drove, she felt painful memories from 2 years ago resurfacing. She too had had a chance at happiness. Her engagement to Noah Carter, a real estate developer, had finally pleased her parents. But suddenly, without explanation, Noah broke off the engagement. And strangely, a few months later, Madison had rushed into marriage with Jake. Why do you always fail? Her mother's words still echoed in her ears. Learn from Madison. Everything she does works out well. Evelyn pulled over to the side of the road and rested her forehead against the steering wheel. Since childhood, she had desperately tried to live up to her family's expectations. As an honor student, as an athlete, and now as a businesswoman. But it was never enough. Madison received all their parents' affection without effort, while Evelyn was always pushed into the shadows. Her phone rang, displaying Madison's name on the screen. Evelyn, where are you? It's about to start. I told you not to be late, didn't I? Madison's voice was tinged with her usual sense of superiority. I'll be there soon. Work ran a little long. Always work. This is an important family day. Hurry up. After hanging up, Evelyn pulled back onto the road. However, when she turned onto the street near Madison's house, she witnessed an unexpected sight. At the entrance of a luxury hotel, Madison was embracing a man passionately. The man's back view was Noah Carter, her former fiancé. Evelyn stopped her car and watched the scene unfold. Noah gently embracing Madison's pregnant body. The two shared a long kiss before getting into separate cars. Madison drove toward her parents' home, while Noah headed in the opposite direction. With trembling hands gripping the steering wheel, everything suddenly clicked into place for Evelyn. The real reason Noah had broken off their engagement. Madison's hasty marriage. And now, the father of the baby Madison was carrying might be. This can't be happening. Evelyn whispered. At that moment, another message arrived from Madison. Hurry up. Everyone's waiting. Evelyn took a deep breath. She could feel a plan forming in her mind. She quickly opened her laptop and began searching through old emails and messages. There she found traces of exchanges between Noah and Madison dating back 2 years. Her hacking skills, a hobby from college days, were now proving useful. I need evidence, she murmured calmly. She decided to delay her arrival at the baby shower. She needed time to organize the facts before her and gather necessary evidence. She picked up her phone and dialed. Diana Morrison Law Office, a composed female voice answered. I need your help with a very complicated family matter. On the other end of the line, Diana, a veteran family law attorney, nodded quietly. Tell me more. Evelyn began to tell the truth about years of family neglect, betrayal, and the shocking discovery she had just made. And about the justice she was seeking. I understand. I'll help you, Diana said. But we'll need solid evidence. Then I might be a little late for the baby shower, Evelyn replied. In her eyes burned a flame of determination that had been suppressed for a long time. As twilight approached, Evelyn arrived at her parents' mansion. Normally, she would park in the circular driveway in front of the entrance, but today she parked a little distance away. Gathering evidence had taken time, and she was more than an hour late. Madison's baby shower would already be in full swing. Evelyn got out of her car and took a deep breath. The crisp autumn breeze caressed her cheeks. Stay calm, she told herself as she took out a small compact mirror from her bag to check her makeup. It was perfect. At least her appearance was. She walked slowly forward. Her parents' house was one of the most impressive buildings in the area. White columns and expansive gardens, with large double doors at the entrance. As a child, this house had felt like a castle to her, but now it felt like a prison. As she approached the entrance, she could hear laughter and conversation drifting from inside. Evelyn was about to place her hand on the doorknob when she froze at the words she heard. She still hasn't come, it was her mother Helen's voice. Always using work as an excuse. She really doesn't understand the meaning of family. Well, that's just like Evelyn, her father Walter answered with a laugh. Never showing up when it matters most. Her priorities are always skewed. Evelyn stood motionless. Her hand on the doorknob began to tremble. This situation wasn't new. It wasn't the first time her parents had criticized her behind her back, but today, here, on this special day of Madison's baby shower. That useless girl, of course she's late, her mother's voice echoed again. A worthless, loveless, defective loser. Pain shot through Evelyn's chest. Defective. That was the word her mother used when referring to her. Since childhood, she had always been treated as a child who was lacking something, who couldn't meet expectations. The next moment, her heart nearly stopped. A toast. Madison's voice rose. To my beloved family and friends. Especially to my parents, who have been perfect role models for me. And I know you'll shower the same love on my daughter who will be born soon. The sound of glasses clinking and applause followed. By the way, Madison continued, where's my chronically late sister? Laughter filled the room. Don't expect her, her mother answered. She'll probably use some work emergency as an excuse again. But the truth is, she doesn't belong here. She's always the odd one out. Oh, a woman's voice said. But I heard she's very successful. An executive at that marketing company, right? Successful? Her father scoffed. Maybe on paper. But she has no family. No husband. No children. What kind of success is that? That's right, Madison's voice resonated again. Evelyn could imagine her sister raising a wine glass, though it must be non-alcoholic given her pregnancy. Well, she doesn't even have a man, and she can't have children anyway. Evelyn's hand slipped from the doorknob. She knew that was a lie. Medically, she was perfectly capable of having children. But Madison had always spread rumors that Evelyn is infertile. Even her parents believed it. Laughter filled the room again. But she doesn't deserve a real family anyway, Madison added. I thought she would come, another woman's voice. You sent her an invitation, didn't you? As a formality, Madison answered. But I didn't really think she would come. She's always too absorbed in herself. Remember a few years ago when she was engaged to Noah? She ruined everything, didn't she? The moment Noah's name was mentioned, anger surged through Evelyn's entire body. She trembled at Madison's audacity. Oh, stop that, her mother said, but her voice was mixed with laughter. Evelyn would be hurt if she heard that. But it's true, Madison objected. She let a wonderful man get away, and now she's alone. I have Jake and this beautiful baby. We'll be the perfect family. Evelyn closed her eyes. She breathed deeply and slowly. The feeling of loneliness and alienation from her family that she had felt since childhood washed over her. But now, it was transforming into a different emotion. Anger. Determination. And most importantly, a sense of liberation. They are not my family, she whispered to herself. And today, I'll prove it. Evelyn quietly backed away. Her movements were as graceful as a cat's, and no one noticed her. She descended the stairs carefully, making sure her shadow didn't fall anywhere visible. When she returned to her car, a folder of evidence sat on the passenger seat. Evidence of Madison and Noah's affair. Emails, photos, hotel receipts. And most shocking were the text messages she had hacked from Madison's phone. In them, the two discussed the possibility that Noah was the father of the baby. Evelyn opened the folder and rechecked the contents. Then, with a determined expression, she took out her phone and dialed Diana's number. "It's Evelyn," her voice was surprisingly calm. "It's time to put our plan into action. They should pay the price." Indeed, the lawyer's voice was cool and professional. "With this evidence, your case is strong enough. Especially considering Jake's position." "Good," Evelyn said. "He's a victim. He has the right to know the truth." "Let's discuss the next steps," Diana said. "What do you want from them?" Evelyn thought for a moment, then looked at herself in the rearview mirror with determination. "This isn't just about revenge, Diana," she said. "It's about justice. The truth needs to be revealed. I don't want to hurt them the way they hurt me. I just want them to understand the consequences of their actions." "I understand," Diana said. "Let's finalize the details at my office tomorrow. Get some rest tonight." After hanging up, Evelyn gazed at the house. Once the core of her identity. But now, she finally understood the truth. Family wasn't just about blood ties, but about respecting and supporting each other. And her family, her real family, wasn't here. Evelyn started the engine and quietly drove away. Her heart was filled with sadness and determination, but there was a new strength in her eyes. It was time to reveal the truth. The living room of the Winston mansion was enveloped in an unprecedented tension. 3 days later, a family meeting had been called at Evelyn's request. Soft light streaming through the heavy curtains illuminated antique furniture and paintings that had been passed down for generations. Family photos adorned the walls. In all of them, Madison was always at the center, while Evelyn was positioned at the edge. Walter and Helen sat quietly on the living room sofa. Across from them, Madison and Jake sat side by side. Jake anxiously crossed and uncrossed his legs, while Madison sat with her arms folded, looking disgruntled. Evelyn sat in an armchair, with Diana Morrison standing a short distance away from her. "Why did you bring a lawyer?" Walter asked. His voice lacked its usual authoritative tone and was tinged with anxiety. Evelyn smiled. It was a calm, calculated smile. "Because what we're going to discuss today involves legal matters, Dad." Helen nervously twisted her ring. "Legal matters? What are you talking about?" Before we begin, Evelyn stood up and connected her laptop to the television monitor placed in one corner of the living room. "I'd like you to see some slides." "Slides?" Madison snorted. "This isn't a work presentation." "No, it's not work," Evelyn replied calmly. "This is a family matter. Particularly one that concerns you, Madison." The atmosphere in the room became increasingly tense. Jake stared at Madison, and she returned a contemptuous look at Evelyn. However, behind her eyes, a hint of anxiety lurked. "Evelyn, what are you, Helen began to speak, but her voice broke off as Evelyn turned on the monitor. These are email exchanges between Madison and Noah from 2 years ago, when Noah and I were engaged, Evelyn explained as emails appeared on the screen. The dates, senders, recipients, and content were clearly displayed. In the subsequent emails, the growing intimacy between the two became apparent. "This must be a forgery," Madison cried out. Her face had turned pale. "A forgery?" Evelyn calmly replied. "Then how do you explain this?" She advanced to the next slide, displaying hotel receipts. Multiple dates, Noah's name, room numbers, and security camera photos showing Noah and Madison embracing in a hotel elevator. The dates were from the period when Evelyn and Noah were engaged. "This is..." Walter was speechless. Helen covered her mouth with her hand, trembling in shock. Jake slowly rose from the sofa. "Madison, is this true?" His voice was low and dangerously quiet. Madison burst into tears. "This has nothing to do with you. It's in the past." "The past?" Evelyn advanced to the next slide. "Then can you explain this?" This slide showed a picture dated 3 days earlier, capturing Madison and Noah embracing. It was from the day of the baby shower. "You spied on me," Madison accused fiercely. "That's illegal." "Photography in a public place is legal," Diana spoke for the first time. "And all this evidence was obtained legally." Jake covered his face with trembling hands. "What does this mean?" "Madison." The room was enveloped in a frozen silence. Feeling all eyes on her, Evelyn moved to the final slide. "And most importantly," she said calmly, "there's a high probability that the father of Madison's baby is not Jake, but Noah." Madison screamed. "That's a lie." Evelyn displayed text messages hacked from Madison's phone. They contained discussions between Madison and Noah about the baby's paternity. "I've already initiated the process to legally confirm this," Evelyn pulled out DNA test petition documents. "The court has already approved it." Jake exhaled violently and moved away from Madison. You traitor." Tears of anger welled in his eyes. "Jake, that's not true." Madison tried to grab his arm, but he shook her off. "Don't touch me," Jake shouted. "You've been deceiving me for 2 years. I loved Noah." Madison suddenly cried out. Tears were streaming from her eyes. "He chose me over you." The entire room froze. Madison's confession hit everyone like a bomb. Helen let out a small cry, and Walter stared at his daughter in shock. "Chose?" Evelyn calmly asked. "So he broke off our engagement for you?" Madison wiped her tears and defiantly raised her chin. "Yes. He realized I was better, much better than you." "Yet he didn't marry you," Evelyn pointed out. "Instead, he had you marry Jake. He had no intention of making you his wife." The blood drained from Madison's face. "He needed time. Until his company stabilized. I trusted you." Jake shouted again. "Was our entire marriage a lie? And this child?" He choked on his words, pointing at Madison's swollen belly. "Jake, please." Madison pleaded. "We're family." "It's over," Jake said quietly. Then he turned and left the room. The sound of the heavy door closing broke the silence. "Madison." Helen finally spoke. Her voice was trembling. "How could you?" Madison's words trailed off. Suddenly, she glared at Evelyn. "Are you satisfied? Ruining my life." Evelyn quietly stood up. "I only revealed the truth. You stole my fiancé, laughed behind my back, and continued to deceive Jake. He had the right to know. Get out." Madison screamed. Everyone get out. Evelyn nodded quietly to Diana, and the two left the room. Behind them, they could hear Madison's sobs and Helen's comforting words. Walking down the vast hallway, Evelyn searched for Jake. She found him sitting on a bench in front of the pond in the garden. His shoulders were slumped, and he was holding his head in his hands. "Jake," Evelyn called softly. He looked up. His eyes were red, and his face was streaked with tears. "Why did you tell me?" he asked. "We're not even close." Evelyn slowly sat down on the bench. "For justice. And because you had the right to know." 2 years. Jake murmured. "My marriage was a lie. And that child too." "The DNA test will confirm it," Evelyn said. "Even if it is Noah's child, you have options. Diana specializes in family law. She can help you." "Why would they do this?" Jake looked up at the sky. "Madison and Noah. They followed their desires," Evelyn answered. "And they didn't care about hurting others." The two sat quietly. The evening light turned the surface of the pond golden. "What will you do now?" Evelyn asked. Jake sighed. "I don't know. But, thank you for telling me the truth. As painful as it is, it's better than living in a lie." Evelyn stood up and gently placed her hand on his shoulder. "If you need anything, don't hesitate to call." As she was walking away, Jake stopped her. "Evelyn, you're a strong person. Not the type they make you out to be." Evelyn smiled. It was her first genuine smile of the day. "Thank you, Jake." As she made her way back to her car through the garden, she felt the weight on her heart lighten a little. Truth sometimes brings pain, but it's also the beginning of healing. A week had passed. Evelyn was immersed in a new project at her Manhattan office. Outside the window, early summer rain was tapping against the high-rise windows. The rhythmic sound helped organize her thoughts. "Phone call for you," her secretary's message came through the intercom. "Who is it?" Evelyn asked without taking her eyes off the documents in front of her. "Mr. Jake Harrison." Evelyn raised her eyebrows in surprise. A call from Jake was unexpected. "Please put him through." "Evelyn," Jake's voice conveyed his tension even over the phone. "Thank you for taking my call." "You're welcome." Evelyn turned her chair to look at the rainy view outside her window. "Is something wrong?" "There's something I want to talk about," he fumbled for words. "Could we meet?" 2 hours later, Evelyn entered a small cafe in Midtown. Beyond the raindrops sliding down the glass windows, people hurried by on the street. Jake sat alone at a table in the back of the cafe. He looked thinner than before, and there were signs of fatigue under his eyes. "Jake," Evelyn greeted him quietly as she sat across from him. "Thank you for coming," he forced a smile. "I ordered coffee." "That's fine." Evelyn placed her bag beside her chair. "So, what did you want to talk about?" Jake was silent for a while, but eventually spoke as if having made up his mind. "I've started divorce proceedings. I've hired a lawyer." "I see," Evelyn nodded quietly. This was an expected development. "But I think I need an experienced lawyer," he continued, choosing his words carefully. "Especially considering the upcoming DNA test and custody issues." Evelyn understood. "You want me to introduce you to Diana?" "If you don't mind," he said hopefully. "Of course," Evelyn said. "She's the best family law attorney. I'll send you her contact information." "Thank you," Jake sighed deeply. "And, there's one more thing I want to say." He nervously turned his coffee cup. "I want to thank you. Thank you for telling me the truth. It was a wake-up call. I didn't want to build a family on such lies." Evelyn didn't know what to say. She was aware that her actions were partly motivated by a desire for revenge. But that wasn't all. I wanted to do the right thing, she answered honestly. Outside the cafe, the rain was beginning to let up. How is your family doing? Evelyn asked hesitantly. She hadn't been in contact with her parents or sister since revealing the truth. Jake gave a bitter smile. In a state of division. Your parents seem to continue supporting Madison. She's been staying at your parents' house. But. They seem to be attempting to reconcile with you too, Jake said. I heard from Helen. She said, Evelyn is also our precious daughter. Evelyn smiled sarcastically. Only when it's convenient for them. Madison. Jake chose his words. She says she's planning to be with Noah. But it seems Noah is beginning to renege on his promises to her. I'm not surprised, Evelyn said. She knew Noah's character well. It's strange, Jake shook his head. I wonder what I've been seeing all this time. I'm ashamed that I didn't realize their true nature. Don't blame yourself, Evelyn said gently. Love can sometimes make us blind. The conversation gradually shifted to more personal topics. Jake's work, Evelyn's career. For the first time, they had the opportunity to truly get to know each other. Actually, Jake said somewhat embarrassedly. Before marrying Madison, I was attracted to you. Evelyn stared at him in surprise. Really? Yes, he smiled. But Madison aggressively pursued me, she seemed more accessible. You were always shining so brightly, seemed unapproachable. Evelyn was speechless. She had always thought of herself as a shadow-like figure in her family. But perhaps she appeared differently in the eyes of others. Their conversation continued, and outside the cafe, dusk was approaching. Suddenly, Evelyn's phone rang. Looking at the screen, she saw it was a call from her parents. It's my parents, she said in a surprised voice. After a week of silence. You should answer it, Jake said. Evelyn hesitantly picked up the phone. Her mother's voice was urgent. Come to the hospital immediately. Madison has. Evelyn's blood ran cold. What happened to Madison? She attempted suicide. Her mother's voice broke with tears. Please, come. Evelyn hung up and looked at Jake with a pale face. Madison attempted suicide. Jake's expression changed too. Despite his anger towards his ex-wife, concern showed in his eyes. Which hospital? St. Luke's, Evelyn stood up. I have to go. I'll come with you, Jake said. I have my car. When they arrived at the hospital, her parents were standing in the hallway. Her mother was sobbing, and her father looked dazed. As Evelyn approached, her mother suddenly embraced her. Evelyn, you came. Why is he here? Her father coldly asked, looking at Jake. I invited him, Evelyn said quietly. How is Madison? She's stable, a doctor appeared in the hallway and said. Fortunately, she was discovered early. And the baby is fine. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. May I see her? Evelyn asked. The doctor nodded. For a short time. Evelyn entered the hospital room alone. Madison, lying in the white hospital bed, looked frail beyond anything Evelyn could have imagined from her usually confident sister. An 4 was connected to her arm, and a monitor quietly displayed her heartbeat. Evelyn. Madison called out in a weak voice. You came. Yes, Evelyn sat down beside her bed. Why did you do this? Tears spilled from Madison's eyes. Noah, he left me. With another woman. She broke down crying. I'm sorry, it was all my fault. Evelyn was torn by complex emotions. Anger, sadness, and strangely, compassion. Madison had always hurt her, but at this moment, she was just a wounded sister. "It will take time for me to forgive you," Evelyn said honestly. "But, you are my sister." Madison weakly squeezed her hand. "I'm really sorry." Evelyn squeezed back. She wasn't sure if this was the first step toward reconciliation or the beginning of a new betrayal. But in this moment, she felt pity rather than hatred. Leaving the hospital room, Evelyn's eyes met Jake's in the hallway. His gaze held understanding and support. She smiled weakly. Life moves in unexpected directions, she thought. Christmas, 1 year later. The Winston mansion was wrapped in warm light. The large Christmas tree in the living room was decorated with colorful ornaments, and a fire quietly burned in the fireplace. Evelyn stood with a glass of wine, gazing at the snowy landscape outside the window. Her life had changed dramatically over the past year. She had been promoted to head of the marketing department and now had her own team. She had finally found a place where she could be herself, surrounded by people who understood her value. "What are you thinking about?" a gentle voice interrupted her thoughts. Turning around, she saw Jake standing there, holding a baby. Little Olivia Harrison, Madison's daughter, was now 6 months old. She slept happily in Jake's arms. Just reflecting, Evelyn smiled. "A year ago, I couldn't have imagined us gathering like this." Jake stood beside her and lightly kissed her shoulder. Life is unpredictable. In the end, DNA testing confirmed that Olivia was Noah's child. Noah was legally required to pay child support, but he made no attempt to fulfill any further role as a father. His life had been on a downward spiral. Abandoned by his new woman, his real estate business failing. Rumors even suggested he was under investigation for fraud. Madison had lost her former arrogance and was struggling to raise her child alone while receiving psychological counseling. Her relationship with Evelyn was gradually being repaired. They were still far from a relationship of complete trust, but at least they were no longer adversaries. "Oh, you too," Helen called out as she entered the living room. "Dinner is ready." The parents had changed too. Knowing the truth and acknowledging their mistakes, they had amended their attitude toward Evelyn. It was sometimes unnatural and awkward, but Evelyn could tell they were making an effort in their own way. "I'm the most surprised," Madison said as they sat down at the table. Her expression was softer than before. "I was truly foolish. I was jealous of your success. But now..." She gazed at Olivia. "Now I want to be strong for her." Evelyn gently squeezed Madison's hand. She had learned that forgiveness is cultivated gradually, through small daily actions. After dinner, Evelyn and Jake sat on the sofa in front of the fireplace, holding hands. Their relationship had developed from a friendship that began with healing common wounds into a deep bond. "You gave me the courage to face the truth," Jake said quietly. "And you taught me what a real family is." Evelyn smiled as she gazed at Olivia sleeping in his arms. "I finally understand what a real family is. It's not about blood ties, but being bound by respect, truth, and love." Outside the window, the snow continued to fall quietly. Having overcome the pain of the past, Evelyn had finally found a family, in the true sense of the word.